Okay, it's working. Hello everyone. My name is Predrag, and I'm a co-founder of a design studio called Adria, and I'm also a co-founder of a small Web3 design adept called Crypto Design Hub. And today I'm here to talk about the user experience in Web3, specifically tackling the problem of onboarding and how well-executed onboarding can elevate the user experience and also make more conversions. So the core onboarding problems a lot of Web3 products are facing is that the websites does not convert. That's the first one. The next one is that websites and products are not beginner-friendly. This is especially important for Web2 users that are totally unfamiliar with Web3. Potential users don't understand your product. Your product has no proper onboarding flow. Potential users don't know how to use your product. And lastly, your product is too complex to use in full capacity. And before moving to the next slide, I would like to address a common problem that is actually quite common, and is that the product doesn't look the same as it's presented on the website. So just imagine like ordering something online, and when you finally get it, you get something totally different. And this is happening on a daily basis, that people are using screenshots from the design from Figma on their websites, but when the visitor clicks on the launch app button, they get something totally different because the product is not developed entirely. So my advice here, no matter how far the development went, use the accurate screenshots, because otherwise you are essentially lying to your users, and you don't want that. So on the next slide, we'll address the first 3 points here. And I don't know if you like Reddit, but I like Reddit a lot. And there is this subreddit called Explain Me Like I'm 5. And it's a great subreddit where you can learn a lot about very complex topics in baby language. And I don't say that we expect 5-year-olds to use Web3 products, but I strongly believe that we need to be able to explain what our product offers in very simple language, so everyone, even someone who is totally unfamiliar with Web3, can understand what your product has to offer. So just imagine you're not feeling that well, right? And you decided to visit the doctor, and they diagnosed you with, give me a second. So they diagnosed you with viral rhinitis, I think. So at this point, you're probably thinking that you got some kind of cancer or something, while in reality, you just catch a common cold. So that's how Web2 users feel when they land on your Web3 website, because they are totally unfamiliar with the Web3 lingo. So the second problem is that there is a huge disengagement from the Web2 users. We are leaving so much on the table because they don't understand what we are offering. Therefore, they just leave the site. And the problem is that Web3 isn't fully adopted and it's still developing, but the same as Web2 overtook Web1, one day Web3 will overtake Web2 as well. And I think we are doing such a bad job on teaching people how to actually, we're actually doing a bad job teaching them about Web3 and doing even worse job on converting them from Web2 to Web3. And I think we should work a bit more, put a bit more focus on that, because as mentioned, we are leaving so much on the table. And here on the bottom left, there is a tiny, I don't know how to call it, perhaps a line graph, whatever. So this is something I have absolutely no proof of being accurate. It's just my assumption based on my experience and knowledge. So this red color in there, if you can even see it, represents the Web3 OGs. The blue color that represents the people that are actually have a good Web3 knowledge. Basic, actually green, represents the people with basic knowledge of Web3, people that may have their wallet, maybe had a few transactions, perhaps some NFTs, and know what WAGMI stands for. And the gray color represents the people with zero knowledge about Web3. And once again, I think that this gray area should be the main point of focus in the future of Web3 websites and products. So, of course, there are a ton of solutions to these problems, but we need to start somewhere. And I believe that some of these things on the right are perfect to begin with. So to begin with, use simple language wherever, actually whenever possible. Avoid technical jargon unless necessary. Use FAQs and glossaries to answer to the most common questions. And actually you can explain these complicated terms and jargon in the glossary itself. And lastly, use infographics and diagrams to explain complex processes in simple terms, using simple graphics and language everyone can understand. Because just think for a moment, if someone who is totally Web3 noob lands on your website and reads all this Web3 lingo, they will definitely not move forward and check your app. And we actually want that, because at some point we want this graph to be all, if not red, then at least blue. Because right now, in 2024, this graph is full of blue for Web2, if not even red. So that's tomorrow, that's the future, and we should work on it. Okay, so let's assume that they actually decided to give your product a go and clicked on that connect app, connect wallet, pardon, or launch app button. The one thing that you should remember here is that you still haven't convinced them to use your product. You only made one step, and it's a very good step. You made them to actually click that button, but you still need to do a lot more to actually convert them from just someone who are, looking around to actual users. So the situation that is happening every day is that people, even after clicking that button that launches the app, the first thing that they get when they launch the app are a ton of features, a ton of cards, a ton of buttons, a ton of numbers, a ton of inputs, a ton of free keywords that who knows what mean. And that's when they are probably just staring at their screen thinking what the app this is, and why am I even here, and how to actually use this thing. And the problem is that you have, in most cases, only one chance to convert this person from visitor to user. And if you don't have a proper onboarding flow, you'll probably never hear from this user again because you lost them forever. So before moving to the solutions, I would like you to remember one of the golden rules of UX, and that is that each process should have as little steps as possible. So if something can be done in 2 clicks, do not ask from the users or visitors, whatever, to make them. So potential solutions for these problems are, well, to begin with, to do the very same as we mentioned on the previous slide. Make sure you use the language that everyone can understand. The next one is incorporate guided tutorials. This can be these step-by-step tutorials, like these pop-ups on screens, like explain your most important features and navigate them through the UI, explaining how they should go from the point A to the point B in the most convenient way. Next is to use tooltips, progress indicators, checkboxes, whatever. And these are all native old Web2 components, nothing new, nothing fancy, but by using them, we can ensure that we are providing actually better understanding to the visitors, because by using tooltips, we can explain them complex terminology or perhaps how some feature works and they just actually need to cover some specific element to get that information, because obviously you cannot put all the text on one page. And progress indicators and checkboxes, things like that, are great for letting them know where they are in the process. So let's imagine that some kind of flow has, let's say 5 different steps in some kind of model. It would be great for you to let them know that they are on step 3, so they know that they only have 2 steps left until the end. Because it happened a lot. I'm not sure which one, but one of the most popular form builders, perhaps Tally or Typeform, I'm not sure. So they're actually asking you, do you want to show the progress indicator on the bottom? And I don't even know why is this a question, because by using progress indicators, user can actually know how much they have left. So I remember that one time it took me like 30 minutes to complete a waitlist form, because they asked me a ton of questions, and only if I knew that I need to like populate 30 inputs and 200 checkboxes, I would never do it. So next is to ensure clear feedback. So whenever user does any action, when the action ends, you need to provide them with the feedback. No matter if it's good or bad, you always need to tell them how the action completed. Whoop. Okay. If it's good, you need to tell them that the action was successful, and to provide them any links or information that may be relevant to that action. And if the action failed, if something went wrong, it would be great if you can provide some guidance on how that issue can be resolved, so they can do it again and complete it successfully. And lastly, it's a great thing if you could offer demo environments, so people can play around, test your features and product without being worried that they'll mess up with their assets or whatever. So if we completed all these steps successfully, I think that now we can finally call these people or visitors or potential users the actual users. Now we just need to ensure that we give an extra push and ensure that they stay our users long term and they don't leave after a few days or months. So of course there is a ton of ways to do this. So here are just a few ways how can what you can do actually to ensure to give your best that this is going to be the case. So first is to provide a tailored experience. And the first thing is beginner-friendly application, or maybe the better term is simplified version of the app. And I think that Binance is doing something like this. They have like this complex application with a ton of features, but if you click that tiny button in the navigation, they will switch your UI to the simplified version, because there are two use cases for this. First, you again need to be aware that there are a lot of not necessarily noobs, but people that have very little knowledge about Web3, and they will only get confused and discouraged to use your product if they have to face all of these features, right? And the second use case is, sure, maybe I know a lot about Web3, but I don't care about your fancy features. I just want the core, the most important features, and that's good enough for me. So just don't show me anything else. The next thing is you can train AI to learn about the user behavior. You can also use screen monitoring tools such as Hotjar to essentially learn about the user, anticipate their actions, and make better UX decisions in the future. Next is educational content, and this is just something that goes on top of FAQ and glossary. So to begin with, documents, actually docs, are great, but if you can even provide videos, that's even better, because people are visual creatures, and we like to see everything right in the image and video form. And lastly, I think that no serious product should operate without the support. Today, we have that, let's say, luck that we can train AI to handle the most common problems, but also we should have a human dedicated support to be there to handle the most complex problems. And before we wrap this up, I would like to mention two more things. So another golden rule of UX is to actually be consistent. So you want to make sure that you use the same wording across the website. So for example, you don't want to use cab on one page and taxi on the other page, elevator on one page, and lift on other page, things like that. You want to make sure that the colors are consistent, that your primary CTA is always the same color, that you don't use, for example, red unless the action is dangerous, right? So the next thing is that we should not forget about the accessibility, because if we don't make our products accessible, we are using a ton of potential users, because not everyone has a great sight and eyesight, and not everyone can hear well if you are using sounds in your products. So by making sure that our products are at least somewhat accessible, we are actually reaching a lot larger pool of potential users. And I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So yeah, you can reach me on Telegram if you like to chat about anything. If you like dream about this presentation and you figure that you have any question, you can reach me out there. And if you would like to check any of products I'm working with, these are the links that can lead you there. And that's it for me. If you have any questions, shoot.
like you explained it perfectly. Let's give it up one more time.
I have a question, coincidentally. You mentioned training AI on user behavior. Do you have any experience in that? And if you do, all right, then forget I asked anything.
No, do I have any experience on training AIs? No, I don't. But I'm working with companies that are actually doing that very successfully. And if your question is about training AIs to actually reply to common problems, then it's pretty doable because, you know, a lot of people are actually noobs and they will ask very basic questions like how to send the money from one wallet to another. And that's something that even untrained ChatGPT can answer. And essentially, what we can do is, first of all, just limit the range that ChatGPT is using, and then make sure that we are watching our user behavior in some way, and add that new knowledge, new information to our chatbot. Also, by using Hotjar, we can learn about, if you know about Hotjar, this is a tool that is essentially monitoring your user behavior. You can see how their cursor is moving through the screen. And also you can get reports, you can get documents, and you can just plug in that information in chatbot. So that way you can learn and it can provide better replies to questions in the future. And we have the same watch. It's nice.
I can tell you're a designer. Thank you.